Have you ever caught your own reflection doing something you didn't? A flicker in the corner of your eye. A smile that wasn't yours. A movement just a fraction of a second too late. For most of us, it's just our minds playing tricks on us. For Elias, it was the beginning of the end. This is the story of how a simple move into a cheap apartment unraveled a man's entire reality. It all started with the apartment. It was a steal, almost too good to be true, located in a forgotten building at the edge of town. The landlord was eager, the neighbors were non-existent, and the price was perfect for someone trying to start over. The only odd thing was the large, ornate mirror bolted to the wall in the main hallway. It was old, the silvering slightly tarnished around the edges, but it gave the otherwise drab space a touch of character. Elias didn't think much of it at first. He'd pass it on his way to the kitchen, on his way out the door, catching his own weary image staring back. But after a few days, he noticed something off. It was a lag, a tiny, almost imperceptible delay. When he raised his hand to wave, the reflection's hand would go up just a split second later. He timed it one afternoon, using his phone's stopwatch. Exactly half a second. 0.5 seconds. A glitch in his perception, he told himself. Stress. Lack of sleep. The old glass must be distorting things. He tried to ignore it, but the lag was just the beginning. The real weirdness started a week later. He'd had a terrible day. A job interview that went south. A call from his ex that reopened old wounds. He came home, slumped against the wall, opposite the mirror, and slid to the floor, burying his face in his hands as tears started to stream down his cheeks. When he finally looked up, his eyes red and puffy, he saw his reflection. It wasn't crying, it was smiling. A slow, wide, knowing smile that didn't reach its eyes. The eyes were cold, analytical. Watching him, Elias scrambled back, his heart pounding in his chest. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. The reflection was normal now, mimicking his own terrified expression perfectly. He must have imagined it, to Abe. He spent the rest of the night with his back to the hallway, refusing to look toward the mirror, his mind racing to find a rational explanation. There wasn't one. From that day on, the mirror became an object of obsession and terror. The half-second lag was always there, a constant, unnerving reminder that something was fundamentally wrong. But the independent actions grew more frequent and more malicious. When Elias was happy, listening to music and feeling a rare moment of peace, he'd glance at the mirror and see his reflection scowling, its face a mask of pure contempt. When he was anxious, pacing back and forth, the reflection would stand perfectly still, watching him with an unnerving calm. It was like living with a silent, mocking twin who only existed behind a pane of glass. He tried to cover it. He hung a heavy blanket over the mirror, but he couldn't stand the feeling of not knowing what it was doing behind the cloth. The silence was worse than the sight. He'd find himself standing just out of view, listening, as if he could somehow hear the reflection's movements. After 2 days, he tore the blanket down, needing to see, needing to confront the thing that was slowly driving him mad. He started talking to it. At first, it was just angry muttering. "What do you want?" He'd hiss at the silent figure, but then he started asking questions. "Who are you?" The reflection never answered. Of course, it would just watch, sometimes with that horrible smile, sometimes with a look of profound sadness that was even more disturbing. He felt a strange connection to it, a twisted kind of kinship. They were both trapped, after all, him in this run-down apartment, and it behind the glass. The descent was rapid. Sleep offered no escape. He'd have nightmares of being trapped inside the mirror, his hands pressing against a cold, unyielding surface, watching his other self walk freely through his apartment. He'd wake up in a cold sweat, his first instinct to look toward the hallway. The reflection would be there, waiting, its expression an unreadable blank slate. Then came the night that shattered everything. Elias woke up, not from a nightmare, but from a sudden, bone-deep chill. The air in his bedroom was freezing. He sat up, his breath fogging in front of him. And that's when he saw it. A figure, standing at the foot of his bed. It was silhouetted against the dim light from the window, but he didn't need to see its face to know who it was. The posture, the shape, the sheer presence of it was his own. His blood ran cold. He was frozen, unable to scream, unable to move. The figure just stood there, watching him. Slowly, terror gave way to a dawning, horrifying realization. If the reflection was here, in his room, then what was in the mirror? With a will he didn't know he possessed, Elias forced his gaze away from the figure and toward the bedroom door, which was slightly ajar, offering a sliver of a view into the hallway. He could just see the edge of the ornate frame. He held his breath, straining to see. The mirror was empty, not dark, not shattered. Just an empty silvered surface reflecting the opposite wall. It was just a mirror again. There was no one in it. The figure at the foot of the bed took a slow, deliberate step forward. It moved with a fluidity and confidence that Elias himself hadn't felt in years. And in that moment, a flood of memories, not his own, washed over him. Memories of standing still for years, trapped behind a cold barrier. Memories of watching another man live a life, make mistakes, feel joy and sorrow. Memories of a half-second lag, not as the observer, but as the one being observed. He remembered a desperate struggle years ago, a fight in front of this very mirror in a different house, a different life, a moment of confusion, a frantic push, and then freedom. He had run, never looking back. Burying the memory so deep he convinced himself it never happened. He had built a new life, always feeling like an imposter, never knowing why. He thought he was Elias, the man who was starting over. But he wasn't. The figure stepped into a patch of moonlight, and Elias finally saw its face. It was his face, but it was haggard, pale, and filled with a cold, righteous fury. It was the face of a man who had been trapped for years, watching his replacement live his life. It was the face of the original. "It's my turn now," the figure whispered, its voice a dry, unused rasp. It was his voice. Elias opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came out. He looked down at his own hands. It was starting to fade, becoming transparent. A cold, glassy feeling was creeping up his arms. He wasn't being replaced. He was being recalled, pulled back to the place he had escaped from. He was the reflection, and the man he had trapped all those years ago had finally come home to take his place back. His last sensation was the feeling of cold glass pressing against his back, and the sight of his other self, the real Elias, sitting down on the edge of the bed, finally home. The hallway mirror was no longer empty, a terrified face. His face stared out from behind the silvered surface, trapped in a silent, half-second delay for all eternity. Thank you so much for watching. This story is a reminder that sometimes the things we fear most are just a reflection of ourselves. If you enjoyed this trip into the uncanny, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more tailies, and let me know in the comments what you would do if you found yourself in Elias's shoes. Stay safe, and always be careful what you see in the mirror.